Bitcoin back to its all-time high range, currently sitting at about 107,000 US dollars as we speak, with a high of about $112, give or take. But we're seeing a little bit of a correction here, currently down about 4.5–5% from the peak. Is this it for Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin going higher? Are we going to see a correction before we sprint up to the upside? I'm going to be covering this and a lot more in today's video. You're not going to want to miss it. Welcome, guys. My name is Denzel Samuel, and you have tuned in to Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for coming by to this channel. Let's not waste any more time and jump right into the charts here. So like I said, we currently have Bitcoin sitting at about $107,000. And with this all-time high, it's been a little bit different than previous all-time highs. If we come back here to, where are we? December 16th, 2024, we had peak euphoria in the market. You know, Bitcoin was once again battling all-time highs here in all-time high territory compared to back in, where are we? March, when we had initially started to break the all-time high of about $69,000. We had the same type of feeling where the market was very euphoric. A lot of people were talking about Bitcoin. It was in the headlines everywhere. Bitcoin hits $100,000, which is a major psychological level for Bitcoin. But ever since then, we've just been kind of trading in this range until we broke down and went all the way back down to about $74,000. To put that into perspective, if we go over here to the weekly chart, that low wasn't put in very long ago. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, we were at the low of $673,000, $74,000 here. And very quickly, we've rebounded. And I think the issue that we're seeing here in terms of psychologically in the market, people don't believe it. I believe a lot of people are thinking that this is a fake pump. They're in disbelief. They don't really have any faith in this move to the upside here. But on the other hand, the metrics are painting a little bit of a different picture. If you go over here to the Bitcoin funding rate, we can see that, like I said, majority of the funding rates are negative. Bitcoin funding rate is negative. Top 10 altcoin funding rates are negative. And when funding rates are negative, that means majority of the traders have shorts open. They don't think the Bitcoin or the altcoin prices are going to go up. They're essentially shorting the market, thus the negative funding rates. And usually, not always, but usually, the Bitcoin price tends to reverse against the funding rates. Why is this? Because we want to be able to stop out the shorts. In addition to that, with Bitcoin also creating a little bit of a CME gap here over the weekend, down about 4%, like I said, since, when was this? Friday? When did Bitcoin hit that all-time high? What am I doing here? Boom, that's about 4 days ago. So about Thursday, Friday is when we saw that all-time high for Bitcoin. And what we know about traditional markets is that they close over the weekend, unlike Bitcoin and crypto, which is 24/7 market. So what happens is when we see those drawbacks over the weekend, when the markets, the traditional markets, open on a Monday, Tuesday, they tend to try to play catch up and try to fill the gap, which here we can see that gap is going to be about 5% and give or take to the upside. In addition to that, the funding rates are negative. So we have those funding rates that are also going to want to drive the prices to the upside in order to liquidate those shorts before possibly going back for a correction. I do think we might see a small correction here. Maybe coming back down to test these levels down here within this range, which we spent a lot of time in. At least coming down to retest this $103,000 level right here. For my Canadian friends, these are all US dollar prices. So coming down, maybe doing something like, doing something like this. Boom. Maybe a ricochet here. Coming back down, you can see I have a
little level here, a little notification if Bitcoin starts to cross that $100,000 level, where we see a lot of interest here. This is going to be a big buy zone for Bitcoin. If we break below this level, then I think we're going to have something more to worry about. But I'm looking at somewhat of an ABC correction here before then flying back up to the upside. But it doesn't have to play out exactly like this. If we look at the Bitcoin chart here again, we can see that we obviously have an uptrend that we have been holding here for quite some time since that breakout or that reversal at the $173,000 or $73,000 level. And we're continuing to hold it even with this drawback here. So right now, I don't have any red flags going on or going off in my head. As you can see, Bitcoin has maintained this trend line. We have the liquidity sitting above Bitcoin. And we know that Bitcoin loves to follow its liquidity, sitting majority around the $109,000, $110,000, $108,000 levels here. The Bitcoin currently sitting around 107. We have a little bit of liquidity right at us or below us acting as support. But of course, only time will tell. In addition to the technicals, the fundamentals have been beautiful for Bitcoin, okay? We saw almost record inflows here on the Bitcoin ETF flows of the ETFs last week. We saw about $211 million come into the Bitcoin ETFs on Friday. Nearly $1 billion come into the ETF flows on Thursday. And the trend has been the same throughout the entire week. The institutions are ramping up here. And what happens when the institution ramps up? The Bitcoin price tends to follow. But it also tends to lag a little bit because it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen the instant they buy. It happens over time. So looking at our chart, this is obviously not financial advice. You know, do what you feel like you need to do. But the market is a beautiful sea of red right now, giving us opportunities to get back into the market and reduce our average price here and get better entries. So at this point, I'm not taking too much action. I've actually had some Bitcoin and altcoin bots trading here. Actually, let's dive into the altcoin market a little bit and let's actually look at our others charts here. So this is everything excluding Bitcoin or the top 10 actual cryptocurrencies. Let's draw this out a little bit here and actually get rid of this Fibonacci. We're going to throw in another Fibonacci retracement from this swing low here. So ever since the altcoin market started to take off back in June 2023, and it gave a little bit of a bottom, we can see that we're actually sitting at the 0.5 Fibonacci level here as we stand currently. I can definitely see us having a little bit of a drawback here with a Bitcoin once it does that ABC correction that we just talked about. For those that know what the Fibonacci retracement tool is, it's essentially takes human nature, and not just human nature, but nature in general, different patterns that we see in the universe, as well as within human nature and human psychology, and it pretty much extrapolates that. So charts, these red and green candles, they're just human psychologies. When people are euphoric, they buy. When people are shook, they sell. It's really that simple when you break it down. So, and these patterns tend to repeat all the time. That's why we have cycles, right? That's why we have wars that come and go. And people just essentially do the same things over and over again. But that is a topic for another video. With us sitting here halfway at a good retracement in the altcoins here, really just trying to fight through the 0.5 level, I could definitely see us pulling back just a little bit here. But you can see this is a weekly chart, and our indicators here are starting to switch bullish. We have a bullish cross here on the others, on the MACD. We also have a bullish cross here on the RSI. So I think your risk to reward here with about, I would like to say until the 0.6 level, which would be considered kind of like a golden retracement, of about 15% on the downside, and then about 70% to the upside is going to be a good risk to reward trade to take here under altcoins. So I think maybe getting in some of your altcoin bags that you like, stocking up on things that you are confident in. One of my plays right now are AI16Z. You know, we're sitting at about 27 cents here, right within those proper retracement levels, you know, with definitely more downside that could come, but a much more promising upside here, just based on the technicals of the overall market. Long story short, I don't want this to be too overly overwinded or over anything. You know, I don't want to talk too much, don't want to ramble. Long story short, I think Bitcoin looks good here. I think we definitely have maybe a little bit more upside before we see some more downside. If we do see some downside, I definitely see us coming back down to test these levels here. You know, maybe test these levels here. But you never know what could happen. We could come all the way back down to the $90,000 level, and I still believe we would remain in a bullish structure here if we don't break throughout those levels. Only time will tell what will happen, you know? So let's definitely stay updated with the news. I know Fed Chair Jerome Powell might be doing a little bit of a speech, a little bit of a chat today with the press in the weekend. It is a weekend, so the markets are closed. So let's see what happens. I think right now is a good opportunity to maybe start DCAing into some altcoins. You know, keep a close eye on Bitcoin here. If you're going to play in the markets, definitely keep your stop losses nice and tight. But overall, I think Bitcoin is still cheap here. Long term, short term, we don't know where it's going to go just yet, but it's still holding that support line that we talked about here with the good areas and levels of buying right below us. Keep your stop losses low. Don't FOMO. And that's all I got for now. A little bit of a ramble, but I'm going to be coming with a lot more videos in the near future. You know, this is going to be one of my first videos I'm posting on YouTube. Really just taking a deep dive and sharing a little bit of information, my thoughts on the market, things that I'm doing. Have some trading bots up here that I've been using on Pionex. Might or might not share those with you guys. Maybe if you want to get into the market and start trading with some AI bots, that might be a good opportunity I see there. But if you're living in Toronto, if you're living in Canada, and you want to buy some crypto, I highly recommend Newton. Newton is the trading platform you can trust. They have over 70 different cryptocurrencies, easy crypto trading for Canadians. You can e-transfer your money directly to the app, buy and hold, transfer it to your cold storage wallets, all that fun stuff. And that's everything I got for now. Thank you everybody for tuning into one of my first videos. Next time I'll try to slow it down a little bit. You know, I'm not going to try to ramble as much as I did this time, but thank you so much. This has been Denzel Samuel, your favorite Canadian crypto host and Crypto in the Six. And that's it. See you guys soon in another crypto video, hopefully sometime later today.